Hello, this is Darius. Welcome to Moon Life Astro. And if you're new, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about a big transit that's happening later this week. Saturn is going to be moving out of Pisces and into Aries. Saturn has been in Pisces since March of 2023, and it's ending that cycle and about to begin a new one. You may want to think back to March 2023 and what's transpired between then and now. What new things did you initiate? Saturn is the planet of structure, foundation, the taskmaster. Maybe something new was sparked at that time that has now grown into something new. For myself, in March 2023, I had looked at doing a moon circle, and I did it online, and I thought about doing it in person, and it just felt more, or it was easier for me, honestly, to do it online. And it was sort of hit or miss. Some people would attend, sometimes they didn't. And but it did birth Moon Life Astro. That is how that came about. So that is how Saturn and Pisces played out for me. I got more involved in astrology, started taking more astrology courses, decided I wanted to become a professional astrologer, and now it has led to this YouTube channel. So I've been looking back on the last couple of years, seeing what came of Saturn and Pisces for me, and it makes sense that that happened for me since it was in the part of my chart that impacts learning, um, where you want to become an expert in, expansion, travel, and it was definitely a spiritual evolution for myself. So this might be something you want to take the time to look at during the week. What's transpired since March of 2023 through now? What has changed for you significantly? Maybe you launched a different area of your business. Maybe something else came to fruition for you. This would be a good week to reflect on all of that. I'm going to get into it a little bit more as we go along. But I just want to start off with that. Hope you're doing well. Hoping you're taking care of yourself. The Saturn moving into Aries, Aries is very fiery energy, wants to initiate, wants to get things going, wants to move things pretty quickly. I know for some people, Saturn and Pisces may have felt very vague, or like you didn't quite know what you were doing, or sometimes Saturn and Pisces can feel like the boundaries are sort of murky. So maybe you had an area of your life where boundaries were fuzzy with certain people in your life. And now, once it moves out of Pisces, maybe that will get cleared up for you. It's possible you may be feeling an urge to reinvent yourself. Maybe you're looking at a new place where you can be a leader or start something completely new. If that's the case, Saturn moving into Aries, that could be your moment. Oh, and real quick, I just wanted to remind you to like the video if you are liking my videos, if you're liking my channel, and please do remember to subscribe to the channel. That does help me get the message out to people. All right, let's get into what exactly is Saturn in Aries. Saturn, again, discipline, long-term growth, commitment, and what are you willing to master? Saturn helps us decide what we want to bring into form. What do we want to master and bring into the world? Aries, again, action, independence, courage, initiation. So this could be the energy of you becoming the leader of your own life. Where do you need to be the leader in your own life? Where do you feel like you have been lacking in that way? Saturn will be in Aries from May 24th, 2025 until April 12th, 2028. It will retrograde back into Pisces a couple of times, and I'll probably talk about that later on in the year when that happens. But that it's usually about a 2.5 year transit for the most part. May 24, 2025 until April 12th, 2028. Now, for solopreneurs, this transit could be about rebuilding your identity. You may be looking at who you want to present yourself as in your business or through your work, through your mission. And you may be asking yourself, how am I showing up? Am I people pleasing? Or am I underperforming? It's an invitation to initiate from your soul's purpose, not your ego. It's not just about starting something, it's about being really in tune and starting the right things. like I said, I started that moon circle. It did feel like a direction at the time that I wanted to go in, but I wasn't completely sure about it, and so I did it for about 6 months, and then it just didn't feel right. So I stopped doing that, and I started focusing on other things, like actually taking more astrology courses. That was the thing for me to do at the time, and I'm glad I followed that intuition. In terms of your business and productivity, this again, it's not about hustle. It's about precision. Um, let's lose that feeling of having to be rushed or frantic, even though that could be challenging with Aries, because Aries energy wants us to rush and wants to move quickly. Uh, so the invitation while Saturn is traveling through Aries is to pause, to breathe, to ask, am I doing this from a space of consciousness or urgency? And this could be a good thing to reflect upon when you're looking at your offer creations. It's an invitation to build from the inside out. You know, what are your soul's signature services? From for your business, for your vision, for your mission. It could be an opportunity to take time management to a new level, learning when to rest versus when to be productive. And this will be a new way, a new opportunity to track your own personal cycles and the cycles of your business as well. And how is it aligned with the cycles of your industry? And are you able to pull away from that if you need to? Can you give yourself permission to follow your own rhythms when necessary? And in that same vein, it's about boundaries. I think Saturn in Aries will help us have cleaner, clearer boundaries versus Saturn in Pisces. And so it'll be an opportunity to learn what's really a yes for you versus what's a no. I'm definitely going to use Saturn in Aries as that invitation for myself to be really conscious and clear about what I'm saying yes to and what I'm saying no to. In essence, it's about embodying your own CEO energy. This is not about waiting for permission. You are the structure. Some potential planning tips. You could create a 3-year soul business vision. You can use time blocking to protect your creative and spiritual energy. Or you could also just commit to a daily or weekly CEO check-in with your inner authority. Some potential healing and growth opportunities. During Saturn in Aries, the fear of being visible could rise to the surface. Fear around failure, wounds around being independent or being too much. And there could also, again, be that pressure to feel like you have to get everything perfect the first time, especially with Aries. So be mindful of that. One possible reframe, Saturn rewards effort, not perfection. So the main thing is like, pick what you want to commit to and just stick with it. Give it the time and the energy and the dedication. Show up consistently. That's what I've been doing for myself for this YouTube channel, and I'm going to continue to do that during Saturn and Aries and just see what happens. Again, Saturn is going to enter Aries May 24th. There will be retrogrades later in the year, I think October, if I remember correctly. And it's going to backtrack into Pisces in late 2025 and then again in early 2026. And then the final exit from Aries, April 12th, 2028. So this is a long transit. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And expect the lessons to unfold in chapters. Some mini milestones you might want to track. You may be going through your Saturn return during this particular transit of Saturn in Aries. So if you're around ages 28 to 30 or 56 to 59, that'll probably be happening during this transit at some point. The invitation for the first part of Saturn moving into Aries, that first 6 months, look of it as the foundation phase. What do you want to lay the foundation, the groundwork for? And then mid 2026, that could be a time to look at reinforcement and recalibration. Here are some potential rituals and practices to align with Saturn in Aries. You could create a personal constitution, a one-page manifesto of what you stand for. I think I'm actually going to do that for myself. Maybe weekly fire rituals or even just once a month to tap into focus and your commitment. You can use a candle, affirmations, or journaling, that sort of thing. You could also work with Garnet or Red Jasper. Those are great stones or crystals for inspiring courage and grounding. And also find a planner or calendar that you actually love using if you have one that you don't already love. One potential affirmation: I lead with clarity, I act with purpose, I grow with grace. And I'll put that in the description for folks. But I lead with clarity, I act with purpose, I grow with grace. I lead with clarity, I act with purpose, I grow with grace. And so basically, this is a pretty short one. Just want to come in here briefly, give you a heads up about Saturn going into Aries. I think this transit is going to be really good for us individually and potentially collectively. Collectively, it might be a little dicier. We're already going through so many incredible transformations in 2025. Saturn in Aries is probably going to bring even more truth to the surface, uncomfortable truths, like we've been experiencing all of 2025. That will probably continue for the rest of the year. I think we're going to have, frankly, earth-shattering, ground-shaking news and events in the collective, both in the US and internationally, because the world is changing. That's just, I mean, it sounds simple and cliche almost to even say that, but we are going through a really radical time of transformation in human consciousness. I feel like, especially since we're in the early part of Pluto in Aquarius, Saturn in Aries, my intuition is going to speed up that transformation, the dismantling of institutions that we have grown used to, even if we're not comfortable with them, we're just used to them. That unraveling will continue. And so my intuition is that it's important to use this Saturn and Aries energy to really hone in on what I want to ground into, what I want my life's foundation to be, what I want my foundation to look like, what I want my own power to come from, my sense of connection to the divine, my soul, my spirit, my energy. And I think as long as I stay focused on that, it'll be easier for me to emotionally ride the waves of what happens in the collective level, on the global level. That may be true for you as well. Something to sit with, something to consider. But at the end of the day, like I've said before, I really do believe that whatever challenges do arise for us, both personally and collectively, that we have the skills, the gifts, and the talents to meet those challenges. That we are here at this time on the planet, that we've incarnated to be a part of the solution. Many of the people who watch my channel would consider themselves creatives, light workers, and we are here to bring light to the dark. We are here to help make the world a better place. We're here to help other people become stronger and healthier so that they can also to help make the world a better place. So whatever part you play in that, I think the most important thing is to simply commit to showing up for that, to show up for your soul's purpose, your life's purpose, and in the process to know that just simply by doing that, you are helping one other person. And even if you only help one other person, you have no idea that I had a teacher once say to me that the one person you help, they may be destined to help millions. So what if you were the key to that, finding that one person who unlocks their skills, their gifts, their talents, their genius, and then they're able to go on and lead to healing on a massive scale. At the end of the day, we just don't know who is in front of us, who we're meant to help, who will be crossing our path. But show up. And Saturn in Aries, I believe, is going to give us the energy and the fire and the fuel to really show up as our full selves if we take that invitation. So I encourage you to do that. I'm going to encourage myself to do that. And I'm going to remind us all to continue to do that as we come together, as we meet. I do appreciate the people who return and come back to my message. I really appreciate the people who give me such lovely comments. I do appreciate it. I'm wishing you all the best, lots of love, joy, and peace. Easefully yours, Darius.